Hey guys, before we start the show, I wanted to remind you guys that there are plenty of ways you can still support your girl, Double Dose of Misty, host of Double Dose of Raw Talk podcast. That's right, the merch store is still open. You can get the copy of my first ebook of a series that is coming up, so stay tuned. My journal to self-love is still available. Make sure you get your copy and read up so you can get a deeper look into my life and my journey to self-love. Also, the merch store is still there with some of our favorite signature Double Dose of Raw Talk t-shirts, hoodies, you name it. It is fall season upon us. Why don't you go get yourself a hoodie and start rocking your girl? Ew. And one last thing, this show is sponsored by Cannabis Queen of Queens. Shout out to my girl Sally. That's right, the best cannabis blends out there. Oh, I am so mellowed out when I have my cannabis blends, either my coffee, my tea, my drink, and sometimes I infuse some of these meals, y'all. You don't want to miss this chance. Go to Cannabis Queen of Queens Etsy page, Canna Queen of Queens, and use code DDRT20 for 20% off. You don't want to miss this. Go support your girl and her people. And as always, enjoy the show. Welcome to Double Dose of Raw Talk podcast, your weekly dose of many discussions and opinions, a show where we get comfortable being uncomfortable. And remember, no topic is off limits. Now let's talk about it. So excited to have you here. All right. So welcome back, everyone, to another week and another episode on Double Dose of Raw Talk podcast. I am your host, Misty, and today I have on my show, every time I introduce the guest, I start cheesing, so don't mind me. I do this all the time. A long time coming because you came so highly recommended to have you on this platform. Ladies and gentlemen, I have comedian and musician Terry Jones here today on my show. Welcome, Terry.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I love that you can hear your smile. Like you can hear it in the microphone when you listen to your podcast. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. I mean, I'm always smiling and laughing. Even on my bad days, I still find a way to do that. So thank you. I appreciate that. I'm going to go tell my boss that. somebody said that to me. All right. So, tell me a little bit about yourself, just so my listeners just get a little bit of an insight on who we have here today, and then we'll get right to it.
I am a dad, first and foremost. I always put that first. Uh, Comedian. Been doing stand-up comedy for a very long time. Been on TV. Got a sequel to a new movie coming out that I'm in, Bigfoot the Movie 2. Got 4 comedy albums on all platforms. 4 music singles that are out because I started pulling the Donald Glover, Jamie Foxx move and decided to take music serious. Been on radio, podcasting, all that fun stuff that, I'm not one that likes to brag about himself. So, yeah,
but I'm here for
just
it
those
if
things.
you want to.
No.
So, yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I love that we just are gonna jump right into, your first title, the dad title, and this couldn't be an even more perfect time. I want to be very transparent, very raw with why this is such an important topic for me to talk about. One of the things I definitely do pride myself in, and it's never perfect. Let me just say that disclaimer right now. I have an overall really good co-parenting relationship with my son's father. It was not always that way. It was really tough times in the beginning, and ever so often, even in recent years, we have our ups and downs. The past few years with the pandemic and COVID and different situations have really taken a toll. But nevertheless, there's a piece of the co-parenting that I never want to not highlight, and is the fact that the same way I am a single mother, there are single dads. There are dads that do take a leading role in their children's life, and that is something that I want to be able to highlight and to share and shine some light on. And so that was exactly how the introduction came to me about you in the conversation with a fellow podcaster. Shout out to lovely Virginia on that one.
I love her. I love Virginia, yo. That's my homie right there, man. The empanada mama. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
she was here on the show and we had such a great conversation too in the episode that I had her on. And I definitely want to shine light on the what the spectrum looks like for a father, a
Hmm.
single father, and especially with you, you're a girl dad, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so, that's just a whole other concept too, right? So I want to be able to shine light on that and what it's like from the other side. I feel that if we're going to keep it raw, and get comfortable having uncomfortable conversations, it is going to be uncomfortable for some because very transparently, I know plenty of single mothers and single women who just see only, the validation on our role. And let's not get it twisted. A lot of the time, I battle through that when I'm not in the best space or place with my child's father. But the true story still unfolds for the other side as well, as a single parent. So we start the show here before we dive right into the topic of conversation. We start the show on this new way. It's kind of like still my icebreaker, but a little different. And it's called the raw mess of the week. And so for this week, I always try and pick something a little messy and something not. But I
Okay.
do kind of want to pick on this. It's not of this week. It happened a while ago, but I want to be able to highlight it. Um, and it highlights the communication between parents who are not together, but somehow we need to coexist and co-parent, right? Um, and it's the communication piece of it. So for example, to me, I find it that a lot of, and this is, it's not always on social media. Let me just, make that very
Yeah,
clear.
for sure.
I find it that sometimes we put a little bit of too much of our information out there. So I was on the bus, right? This is my raw mess of the week. And, I always keep my AirPods on. I'm always listening to music and I'm on my business. But I just so happened to not have the music on in this moment. And the gentleman behind me was on his AirPods too, and he was arguing with who was clearly his child's mother,
Yeah.
and the things he said to her and the things he was responding to her, and it all fall under the school supplies of it, all fall under like, well, I get him every weekend and I do my part too, and I
Hmm.
don't ask, and there was just so much animosity in that moment. But what really struck me is that we are still seeing, and it was very clear to me, he was younger than me, so I'm 35 years old. He looked like he was in his 20s, early 20s. um what was pretty clear to me was that there was a lot of disrespect. There was a lot of, making terrible words towards her, accusations towards her. I'm sure she was doing the exact same thing towards him because he also sounded very defensive. And so I want to call this out as the raw mess of the week because we're starting school and I'm going to be very transparent. I've been in my own feelings about, well, what do you pay? What do I pay? How do you help me? Like everything that I do versus you, right? But it just comes to a point of the disrespect. Like at the end of the day, are we not choosing to have children with these people? Are
Yeah.
we not, like, like, I want to shine light on the messiness. What is your thoughts on that a little bit?
So I'm a very spiritual person, so I do believe that we are connected for a reason. The mother of my children is somebody that I was in love with, and I did love, regardless of what happened between us. Um, we had these children, and at the end of the day, what people don't realize is it's good to have a healthy relationship with the other person because you are going to be in each other's lives for the rest of your life. I don't care what anyone says. People be like, till 18. No, 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 no. Listen, you got to go to weddings and see each other. You got to go to baby showers and see each other. Like, these are things that in the future that you guys are going to continue to run into each other. Um, and, I see it a lot. I think the thing is that you have to separate what is the difference between your kids and the other person, right? So
Hmm.
what we run into a lot of times is there are feelings that people keep inside that they don't let out. So like you may still have some feelings for that person, or you may still think something about that person, or maybe you feel some type of way because you still hold some sort of grudge or bitterness from something that happened in the past between y'all. Whether it was the way you guys broke up, whether it was someone cheated, whether it was somebody did, whatever it is, we hold a lot of grudges. You have to let that go and do what's best for the children. It's that simple. But I think a lot of people hold that anger, and then they forget that you guys are business partners at this point. Even if you're together, you're business partners. But when you split, you are business partners. People don't think of that. You guys have an investment, and you're either going to fail with this investment, or you are going to get Beyonce out of this investment, or you're going to get Kobe out of this. Whatever it is, you're going to get Jeff Bezos out of the investment. Like, your job is to raise your children to be the greatest people that they can be, raise them to be better than we were, and to get them in a good space. Once you start thinking of it like that, everything else is better. But all the pointing fingers and all that stuff, and I get it. There are a lot of deadbeat dads. I know a lot of deadbeat dads. I don't hang out with deadbeat dads. I kind of stay to myself because if you're not taking care of your kid, then... And I also don't judge people off of that too. I try not to, because I don't know what that person's going through that's keeping them away from their child. There may be something traumatic, some reason. Maybe they don't know how to break the cycle. Maybe they weren't raised to know how to be a parent. There's so many different things that go into this, but I really think it comes down to making a healthy relationship with your ex. You just have to realize, hey, this ain't about us. Let's put that aside and let's go ahead and take care of these babies, man. No matter how big they are, they're always going to be your babies. That's, if that answers your question.
Terry came to read me today. Terry was like, Miss D, I need you to let it go.
Girl, you too fine for all that. You gotta let it go, man.
I wasn't so much, hold on one second. I wasn't so much of my emotions.
Yeah.
And there was definitely, and I actually posted it. I said there was anger and resentment. Because it was a moment of things just getting so tough for me and so overwhelming. And sometimes it just feels like I would just like for that person to just feel what it's like to be in my shoes for one day and to have to take care of all of it, because it's been so long since that person has had to do that, right? So there was a moment of that. And I needed like a day and maybe another one to just like let it go, to just like, let it woosah on up, because it's so funny you're hitting this right on the nose. But like, one of the things is my child's now concerned for me. My child now has concern for me because he is a teenager, because he does see, he's like, Ma, I don't want this to be too much for you. Like, you are going through a lot. Like, I could see it, I could feel it. And so when we think of it like that, it's like, all right, I got to get it together, not for the other person, but for him, because that's who it's about for me, right? Like, I owe him the explanations. I owe him that respect and that sanity that his mom is going to be okay, even if it does get a little intense for me. And then also, I'm one of those people that, while I keep it very, very honest with my child, I'm not one that likes nor applauds the whole bashing of the other
it's
parent
not worth it
at all, no matter how I feel. Never to the child. Exactly. So I don't do that. So that's definitely a certain level of self-control that I've grown into. That's just, if I may say so myself, it's just outstanding. Yeah. I'm very proud of me. I'm just saying. Me 10 years ago. I just want to keep it real.
Hey, I'm proud of you too. You know what, with their mother, I think it was rough in the beginning because of how the situation happened, and there was like a lot of bad stuff that happened. I had to get courts involved and all kind of stuff. But, once we got to a point where we were doing really good, like, and I explained to her, like, this is about the kid. And every once in a while, if I feel some sort of animosity or like she's picking a fight for some reason, like it may be for no reason at all, I just make sure I diffuse it immediately and try and flip it into something else and make it into something to let her know I'm not your enemy, dog. Like, at the end of the day, we still got to see each other. Let's not make them feel uncomfortable, because the kids feel uncomfortable. Like you said, your son feels it. And I'm sure he's a mama's boy. And I'm telling you right now, as a fellow mama's boy, I got both a mom and dad, but I'm a mama's boy. As a fellow mama's boy, you there's a certain relationship you have, just like daughters with their dads, and your son is going to want to see you happy. And one of the things that we forget is our children actually do want to see us happy. They don't want to see us fighting. They don't want to see us sad. They don't want to see us keep, upset over and over. They want to love us, and they want us to be in love, and they want us to have that what we deserve, because they see us working hard. Your son sees you working very hard. Right. I saw what you posted, and it's a beautiful thing, and he's going to remember that, and he's always going to hold that in his heart. And when he's a very successful young man, he's going to remember those moments. But you got to hold those moments in your heart too. That's what we got to do. We got to hold these little small moments that don't seem like a big deal, but do seem like a big deal, that will become a bigger deal when it's something that they remember. Hey, Mom, you remember when you waited in line and you got all my stuff so I could go play sports? My parents was waiting in the ER with me when I got injuries in football. You know what I'm saying? Like, So, we do have that. I get it, but hold what's in your heart. You're more powerful than you probably even believe. So you have to remember that. Your son knows you're more powerful
these days. Yeah, these days for sure. I told y'all Terry he came to read me today. But I needed this, and I feel like because of the times we're in right now, where there's so many adjustments happening, especially, I feel like a lot of parents need to hear this. I feel like there are people out there who know parents who need to hear this too. And I love that everything that you just said can apply to both parents. It can apply to both parents that are in the picture, that are so very much so involved. And in some cases, you have the bonus parents too that need to be very fully aware of what's going on as well, right? So I definitely appreciate that word right there. Please don't talk bad about each other or to each other. Please respect one another. Stop being messy and don't talk your business on the table.
Yes. You see that a lot. And the thing is, there are some people who, what I learned too is, like, you'll have a ex or a partner, like some people feed off of negative energy, right? Because they just feed off of energy in general. Some people just feed off of it. So whether it's positive or negative. And instead of dealing with their internal trauma or whatever it is, their internal issues, they kind of just take it out in ways that they don't have to, right? So yelling on a bus, and honestly, it could be a situation where he got the phone call and now he's looking like a crazy man on a bus, but he got the phone call and he can't get off the phone call. You know what I mean? It's like, this is the only place I can take it. I got to go to work. You're always going to deal with so many things and so many problems, but as you said, man, you can't talk bad about the other person, at least not around your kids. Do it with someone else. Do it, vent. Yeah. Try not to publicly vent, and just go talk to someone else about it. You know what I mean? Someone you're close to. It's better to vent that way than your kids to know. Because I had an incident where our oldest daughter, something was going on with her scalp, and she's on my insurance, so I did all the stuff and I set up the appointment, and their mom was taking her, and I guess she said something, and either my daughter misheard it or misunderstood what she was saying. But I reached out to her in a positive way, just like, hey, look, if you felt this way, like, help me, like, don't come at me, like, just help me so that I can understand what I did wrong. Like, if the ointment I used was the wrong ointment and we need to use something else, then whatever, I'm just doing what the doctor said, and vice, and we were able to, like, it diffuse the situation. No yelling back and forth, no nothing. I think one of the people have to be calm. That's what I learned. One of you got to be chill. And that's when you're co-parenting, one of you got to be chill. Somebody has to be the zen, because somebody's going to be the firecracker. There's always going to be a firecracker. It can't be two zens. Yeah, I know. I could feel it. I could tell you're a firecracker.
I just want Terry to know he has like a full microphone right now to totally tell me exactly what he sees. So he gave me a compliment at first about how he can hear me smiling. He could tell I'm a firecracker, and I love it. I love it
What's your
here.
sign?
This is
What's your sign?
okay. Absolutely. Oh, George, Jesus Christ.
Oh God.
I'm a Scorpio.
Yo, Scorpios are toxic as hell. Oh man. Hey yo.
Toxic.
Future's a
So toxic.
Scorpio.
I just want to give a shout out
Future's a
to
Scorpio. Drake's a
who?
Scorpio. I've taught.
And have you seen Future's
Yeah,
method of
yeah,
parenting?
man.
Like,
I
it's
mean,
disgusting.
Scorpios. No, but I could tell Scorpios are stubborn. So I could see that. I'm a Libra. I'm chill.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Um. Oh yeah. I always say the Libras are the cousins to the Scorpios. I keep a lot of Libras around me, and they
yeah.
definitely balance me out.
Okay.
My sister's a Libra, definitely balance me out. And what's funny is, my rising is in Libra.
Okay.
I've recently found that out. So it
Mhm.
explains a lot to me about certain parts of me that are not
Mhm.
very Scorpio ish. It explains a
Yeah.
lot. It definitely does for me. I appreciate this is an amazing opener, to be honest with you, because there's so much we could take, and I can assure you there are people
Yeah.
listening right now to this show that
Good.
this is going to hit home for them. I can assure you right now. And I'm very happy we were able to dive into this like this for sure. So we're going to go a little deeper now. We're going to go into the first segment, and it's called As Raw as It Gets, and I'm going to title it A Stand-Up Guy. And I want to I want to dive into a little bit more how you've been balancing for you. I don't want to dish it yet.
Oh
You know,
yeah.
that little essay you wrote that's going to be into the next segment, but I do want to shine light how you've been able to
Mhm.
find the balance as a comedian, as a musician, and as a father. A very involved
Yeah.
father with your daughters, absolutely. So I want to be able to discuss that a little bit better, how you've been able to manage that and to establish that for yourself and
Whew.
your family.
It's not easy. It is one of the most because I'm not a part-time dad. What I mean by that is like there are people with primary custody, there's split custody, which is down the middle, which means you have your kids as much as the other parent, and you are both single parents, and you sometimes may have that kid, or you may have your children more than the other parent, but on paper it keeps you safe so that you have access to your children, which was the biggest thing for me, was to make sure that I have access to my kids. I didn't want what was going on between us to cause a conflict where someone can hold something above me and say I couldn't see my kids, because my daughters are my everything. But honestly, it's difficult, man, because anyone that knows me, I usually run on like 4 to 5 hours of sleep. So I don't get real sleep like most people. At you know, what is it? It's like 6:30. My days start at 6:30, and sometimes they end at midnight. I'm getting up with the kids, getting them ready. The youngest goes to daycare. My oldest just started first grade, so you know, we worked something out where her mom can take her to the bus stop for me, so I could take the other one to daycare, so I could go handle everything that I have to handle throughout the day. I'm just always about grinding. I will work, I will do shows, I will do everything I can to just make sure that we live in a good area, which we do. You know, I just do a lot of things to make sure that we're above water and that they can get the things that they want.
Mm-hmm.
Constantly spending money in Five Below, constantly Target will kill you. I do a lot of things with them, but the true balance, honestly, is I'm a dad first. I don't put anything before being a father,
Mm.
but even before that, I put God first. So I'm not trying to preach to anyone, and this isn't in a Christianity way. Just spiritually, I put God first, and I raise my kids for God. And what I see in my children is
Mm.
God. That's what I see in those little girls, because God is love. That's how I see it. And I see love in them, and
Mm.
it's a love that I've never experienced before. So, with that being said, I always make sure, like, if I get booked on a show and I know it's going to interfere with my time with my children, I won't take the booking. Um, this I always plan my bookings in certain days when I know that they'll be hanging out with their mom, or my mother can maybe sit with them. And then I'm just going to tell you what type of dad I am. Not everyone's like this. A lot of parents will go on vacation and go on trips, and then they'll come back at their leisure. I have gotten off stage, stayed up till 5:30 a.m. internationally, and flew back home just so I could be with my babies by 9 a.m. So yeah,
Oh my God. Oh my.
it's not easy, but they drive me, and because they drive me, I know that I can keep pushing and work as hard as I can and do what I have to. Um, but yeah, the truth is that I don't do anything for ego, so everything I do is different than what I used to do when like in my younger days when it was like ego driven. Um, so because of that, everything is also a lot smoother when it comes to balancing everything out. I also try to make them a part of things that I do so that they feel special. So the cover of my one comedy album, I recorded two comedy albums in Canada. The one Afro Bebop, my oldest daughter's on the cover when she was one. Um, and they
Mm-hmm.
are on a the intro of the album with a rapper who I'm friends with named Frizzy. He's an Emmy award winning rapper. There's only been a few that have won an Emmy. I think three rappers, and he's one of them. So getting them into these
Mm-hmm.
like historical and cool things that when they get older they could be like, oh look, Dad made sure that we were always a part of what he did. I always try to do that too. That helps with the balance.
Absolutely. Oh, I love that. See, now that makes me feel even better. I definitely wanted to
Yeah.
start having my son come on the show because I wanted him to be a part of this too. And he definitely did an episode with me, and I wasn't so sure about it in the beginning. And then I said, well, you know what?
Yeah.
No, he is my life. This is about my life too. So he does need to form part of that as well. And I think it's amazing that you have been able to include them and keep them so included. Um, while still
Yeah.
making them, your focus as well. Um, you said he grinds, and I know
Yeah.
you do. I know. Okay. I see it. I've been seeing it. I know you do. Um, chasing and I want to say chasing dreams because ever so often I think it is beautiful to know that people do chase their dreams and chase their passions because they know they have the talent, right? Very transparently off the bat, I want to check this question off. Do you think that pursuing your dreams has become something that's overrated?
Overrated in which way? So I can make sure I answer right.
Well, everybody claims to have dreams,
Yeah.
right? That they want to pursue in that sense more so than anything.
I don't think it's overrated. I think some of us are chosen to be something special to the universe. We all have a special message.
Okay.
I didn't choose comedy. I always felt comedy chose me. I've always been in love with music, and the music part I would do like comedy parodies and stuff, which got me like notoriety early on. But once I started taking it serious and realizing, yo, like, why am I not doing this? Like, I can do it, but I've allowed other people to tell me to like stay in my lane. And there's that Idris Elba speech where Idris is,
Mm.
and I made fun of it, but I love Idris. And he's like, yo, they tell me to stay in my lane, but I don't want to stay in my lane. So,
I stand Idris. Let's not even go there.
yeah, I after I posted that video, women are like, can you leave me a message as Idris? Like, well, it depends on how much you're gonna pay for it. No, but
I'm living right now.
but no, I think you can't. What I learned over the years is you can't chase your dreams. You have to manifest them, right? So, and you have to hold on to them tighter than anything because they only matter to you. They don't matter to everyone around you. Even if people love you and they support you, they don't understand every bit of how you um, comprehend your own dreams and what you want to do, right? I think you should pursue it, but you have to realize: are you pursuing it because you are drawn to it and it's what you are destined for, or are you pursuing it for attention and ego? And sometimes the lines can even blur, because every time I've been blessed with something big, God smacked me down and took it away from me because I was ego driven and I wasn't doing it for the right reasons anymore. So he would give it, all right, good job, Terry, you got it, here. And I'd be like, yeah, I'm on top of the world. I did that. Oh, you did that. Okay, let's knock you back down a little bit. Now you're going to have to work hard to get back to another place. And it took a while for me to realize that you have to eliminate the ego, which stands for Xing God out. And again, I'm not trying to preach to anybody. If you don't believe in God, I don't judge you, but I'm just speaking on what my side. But the thing is, like, once I learned, okay, having that arrogance and ego is the downfall of pursuing your dreams, everything started manifesting better. So I've been given the same things that I was given in the past, but now I'm more mature to handle it. And I look at those as tests to see, did you really change? And because of my children and how much you realize that you have to put ego aside and learn empathy and learn humility and learn compassion, the things that I feel like a lot of the people in the world are missing, that's when I was like, oh, snap. I finally got it. Like, this is what I've been missing. And so I think you should pursue it, but manifest your dreams. Don't chase, because you'll never catch it. You'll never catch anything that you're chasing. You have to manifest it. Like this podcast. You're doing this for a reason. You're good at it. You have a look. You have a good look. You have a good setup. You're working hard. Each episode gets better because I listen. You fix things because that's a part of growth, right? Then 20 episodes from now, I want you to look back at this episode when you're in some big studio somewhere recording and you're on Vice or some shit. One of the, you know what I mean? Like, when you're doing the big thing, I want you to look back at this episode and be like, damn, man, we was in living rooms and shit with ring lights and mics and zooming. But now I have the guest right here, and everything's going to happen, but it's all about manifestation and believing in what you really want. If you really want it and you are destined for it, you will get it. That's it. And sometime, maybe if not this lifetime, maybe the next timeline, whatever it is, but try and push hard to make sure you do it now. And don't self-sabotage yourself. Some people are afraid of success, so they go to pursue their dreams, and I'm scared of this. It happens in relationships too. Oh, you in love with me? I can't handle being in love. Oh my God. What do you mean you want to hug me and kiss me and actually care for me? Let me self-sabotage this shit. We do it with everything. We do it with careers. Because we're afraid. We get to that place where we're about to win and then, oh shit, there's no way this could be real. No, it is real because this is what you wanted, right? So you manifested it. So why are you going to kick it to the side? You don't want to spit in the universe's face. Right. So take it. So no, I don't think it's overrated. I just think it's overrated when you do it for the wrong reasons. That's really what it is.
So I love that you said that you don't think it's overrated, and if you chase it, you're never going to catch up, right? I want to add to that a little bit more. Is having talent enough, or do people still have to put in the work?
No, talent is not enough. You have to put in the work. I know some of the most talented people in the world that never made it. And they are the funniest comedians. They are the top athletes. They are the best rappers I know, best producers, best music. Like, I know some very talented fucking people. But I will say this, talent is not enough. You have to work hard. Like, that's why I only get 4 hours of sleep. And when I can catch up on it, I do. And I don't want to say that in an unhealthy way. Like, don't push yourself to the point of exhaustion, because I'm nuts. I'll just keep going. But you do have to recharge, and you do have to take care of yourself, and you have to really find that love that you need within, right? You have to find and push. So talent is not enough. Work hard, take care of yourself, and manifest what you want. Because okay, so you the hottest rapper in your living room. Then what? You know what I mean? Oh, you the funniest dude at the bar. Cool story. But what are you doing? Like, I've had people get mad at me. How you get that? Why you got that? What do you mean how and why? I've been working my ass off to the point where I happen to be in the right place at the right time. Let me tell you something about anything overnight or being in the right place at the right time. I've been in comedy festivals with people who are superstars. I remember being MySpace friends with Tiffany Haddish. When Tiffany Haddish was doing Def Comedy Jam. Now she is a superstar. I remember messaging guys like D-Ray and messaging guys like Roy Wood Jr. asking them for advice when I was a new comic. These dudes are on another level now. They get paid millions of dollars. Cats that I've interacted with, the first person I ever opened for was Joe Coy. And Joe Coy, that same weekend was his half-hour comedy special that he was so proud of. He did 10 years in the game, got his comedy special, and then next thing I know, boom, blew up. I remember when Kevin Hart was, and I started comedy young when I was 18, so we're like close in age, but I remember when Kevin Hart, because he's way older, I remember when he used to get booed off a stage in Philly.
I heard about that.
Yeah, yes. He wasn't like, but that is the hardest working man in the world. So if you're going to do something, you gotta put in the work. Get that whiteboard. I know everybody talks about the magical whiteboard. Trust me, the whiteboard is important because when you write down your goals and you wake up in the morning and you walk past them, even if you don't look at that board, subconsciously, they're going in your head because you wrote them down. You see them every day and don't even realize you see them. And next thing you know, you accomplish everything off your checklist. You have to make your checklist, stay organized, and work your ass off. But don't put it before anything that's important because you will get rid of the thing that is the fuel for your dreams.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
With a whole word on that one. Let me just say that, and I'm talking dreams here, but that applies to so many people.
Yeah.
In every aspect of their life.
Absolutely.
It definitely does. I want to know one more balancing act of yours. Because you're such a stand-up guy here. How has comedy and music helped you and impacted your connections with your family and with friends?
Man, this is a rough one. Let me think.
Oh, is it? Oh,
yeah. So there's so many impacts. When I first started comedy, there was like a big reason why I started comedy. And that kind of touches on what I talked about in that essay that I know you wanted to bring up. But I had a lot of issues as a child. And I had a lot of trauma where I felt like I was hated by everybody. And because of that, I started becoming funny because that's when people liked me. And then I started becoming funny on stage. And then I started getting really good at it. And then I started being funny in front of audiences of 400 to 12, 1,500, whatever it is. And being in those audiences was fun, but afterwards I would feel real empty because I was looking for something for the wrong reason. Similar to like how sometimes we do with, like you hear people do that with sex, where they feel empty, so they constantly have different partners hoping to feel something. I've been there. But you don't realize that it causes issues. I think one of the big issues for me was dealing with that because I didn't realize how much self-hatred was involved in why I was doing entertainment. And that goes back to what I was saying, don't fuel the ego. Because I was fueling the ego, and then I'm like, why don't people like me? Having these Kanye moments. Why don't you love me? Why don't you this? I'm working hard. I'm doing this. And you get caught up in the wrong reasons. It definitely, my friendships, I started realizing how many people I could and couldn't hang with. Like you start realizing that you are the only one taking things serious, and when you start getting friends involved, it doesn't always mean it's good for business. So like you see these musicians with like 80 of their boys and stuff, and they build a team out of their friends. You see the Wayans, like they build an empire out of their family, but they have a very serious structure to it. That's why it works.
Yes.
You'll run into issues where like things with your friends are a problem. Sometimes, when you're winning and you're on top, everybody's like your best friend, and some you don't even realize some people are using you just because they want to say things like I be around that person, or I slept with that person, or there's like people are different and they have their own ideas in their head for why they are your friend or why they stick around. Also, another thing is my family is actually very supportive, man. Like, not everyone has that. My mom, my dad, my cousins, my aunts, my grandmothers, that they were very supportive. Like, everyone around me was supportive family wise, and they wanted me to succeed, and they still want me to succeed. Mm-hmm. And that's always been a beautiful thing for me. And but it does interfere. It definitely interfere with relationships, because and this is no shade to any of my exes in case they end up listening to this, because you never know. But you just don't know these days, man.
He comes in peace, guys. He comes in peace.
What I realize is some people don't like when you get attention, because maybe they want attention. So when you start getting attention, they don't like it. Instead of thinking of it like this is a business move for both of us, or this is something where we can both gain from this, instead you'll have partners who are like, oh, you getting too much attention. Why are you posting that? Who you trying to impress? Who you trying to get in your DMs? Like, you'll hear all kind of things. So it always caused issues. And then having a lot of shows and stuff, like constantly being booked, and maybe I've had partners not want to come to shows. I've had them want to come to shows and then stop wanting to come to shows. Like, it really caused a lot of issues relationship wise. But you have to find, if you're in entertainment, this is why a lot of entertainers end up dating other entertainers, and I really understand it. With comedians, it's a little different, because a lot of female comics don't always date male comics, because male comics are creepy as shit. But I'm a lot different. Just being honest, like, there are a lot of male comics that are like, alright, a lot of male comics come from like a nerdy background, right? So not all comedians come from like the streets like a rapper does, right? Rapper got a different kind of vibe to him. There's a lot of comedians, right, like, especially like the white dudes, that are like straight up, they were the dudes that got picked on, and now they got something that they're cool at. So they don't understand how, and this is why you see situations like Louis C.K. and all these white comics, Chris D'Elia, all these dudes doing that creepy bullshit, because they never had it before, and now they're like, oh, you should love me, you should like me, you should that. That is always like an issue. So a lot of female comics don't always feel safe around comics because that are men, and I've always been nice to everybody. So a lot of female comics that I've worked with or that know me personally know, okay, Terry's cool. But you don't get a chance to date another female comic usually. So for male comedians, we end up dating like just, like a regular woman, and that's not saying anything against anyone's career, but like it's like a woman that's not in the spotlight, put it that way. Like, even if she's successful, like a lawyer or something, they're still not in the spotlight. So they don't know how to handle you getting that much attention. You have to be with someone that's secure enough to understand that it's okay for you to get attention, that we can both benefit from this attention, or you have to get with someone who gets just as much attention as you. So that the relationship aspect has been the hardest for me. Family, friends, not so much. I've had like female friends that were, I found out they weren't always like on the up and up with me about how they felt about me. But you know what I
Oh,
yeah. Um so
I just want you to know there was a whole thunder that just happened right when you said that because it's raining
see that
massively in
was
New York
that was
City.
God saying, see? It's God saying,
Yeah.
see?
See.
That I
Yeah.
told you about them. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So he's like he's reminding you. He's like I know I
Yeah,
see it.
yeah,
I
he
saw it all
synced
happen.
it. But nah, yeah. That's just the relationship part is the hardest when you're in entertainment, I think.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I'm glad you tackled the relationship piece too, because that was definitely gonna come up. So I'm glad we already tackled that too, because it is actually a perfect segue into the key relationship of your
Yeah.
life. And that is God. You see God in your daughters, and it is in your
Yeah.
daughters, right? A lot of people. I did have a guest on my show previously, several episodes ago. Shout out to a college friend of mine,
Mhm.
Chris. He is an actor,
What
and
up,
he
Chris?
also said that too. Chris
Shout out
Pollard,
Chris.
and he also said that too. Yeah, he said, he's a very handsome
Hmm.
man. He also said, the relationships part is the toughest
Yeah.
part. With the attention, and do they either they either either they are just interested to just be standing next to him just for the
Hmm.
look, or it's too much for them, so they don't even want to go
Yeah.
for it. So it's interesting too to hear it from a different side of entertainment industry as
Yeah.
well, of how that can be so much impacting, no matter how much structure you have put in place, or balance, or how you've been able to manage all the industries,
Yeah.
right? Like, it can still be impacting to the relationship side
Yeah.
of things. So it's very interesting for you to be able to share that with us. I want to go into the double or nothing segment, and this is titled Super Dad and keeping it raw. Okay. And I opened up the show like this. We opened it up on the raw mess of the week. So we already tackled the fact that, we want to shine light on also the fact that there are single
Yeah.
fathers out there, fathers who are very much so involved and they're doing their thing. But I want to shine specifically light to an essay that you wrote. And you wrote it for Pittsburgh City Paper, right? And it is called Super Dad. And you wrote about your experience as a father, but also how you've been able to manage and, maintain your mental health. And for one, let me congratulate you, because it's one of the most amazing essays
Thank
I've
you.
read
And
in a
those
very
and the
long time.
messages that you
Uh,
sent meant a lot. So thank you.
yeah, absolutely. It's, as a parent, it hits. Um, but then also just as a person who has also had, I've had my battles with mental health. I've definitely had therapy. And then in addition to that, it's still managing my motherhood, and managing being a person, right? Being human, and finding that balance too, and still being in several industries. I'm in podcasting, I have my career, all that other jazz, right? When it comes to this essay and this paper, um how did you get there? Like, open us up to that conversation of revealing so
Yeah.
much.
So Lisa Cunningham, shout out to her. She's the top editor at City Paper, and I've worked with them for a very long time. And she reached out and said, "Hey, this is for Public Source and Pittsburgh City Paper. You posted something on Facebook about how your daughter saved your life."
Hey, guys. I wanted to remind you guys that if you have been thinking about starting your own podcast, or you have a podcast and it just needs a little bit of help, we have the solution for you. Today's show is brought to you by Idea to Launch Academy, the only multicultural podcast academy that to date has helped launch over 500 podcasts. I mean, anyone can launch a podcast. You can Google how to start a podcast and publish it. And then, yeah, who's going to listen? Carlo Amaris, the CEO and founder of Idea to Launch, has put together a course that will help you take your podcast from idea to launch in just 30 days, with her proven 5-phase formula that helped her reach over 100,000 downloads in less than a year. Also, when you are part of the course, you become a part of a community of podcasters. I'm one of them. Use the link in our show description to enroll in the Launch Your Podcast in 30 Days 2.0. Let them know that Double Dose of Raw Talk sent you and get the Instagram 101 crash course for free. Enrollment is open.
And how much they mean to you. And there's just, you've always been like very outspoken about mental health and mental health awareness. And would you be interested in writing an essay? And I was like, yeah. And I would love to do that. Like, I'm honored that you even asked. And I've never had, I've done interviews where people have interviewed me, but I've never actually written anything that's been published before, outside of somebody else writing it with me in it. You know what I mean? And so I was nervous, and I was having so many panic attacks because I was freaking out because of my anxiety. And I was like, what am I going to say? How am I going to say this? And piecing it together. I went through 2 drafts. One of them was, it was too dark. Like, I was talking too deep into, because I had to tap into like so much trauma and so much that happened to me, that I was like, this is going to end up being trauma porn. You know what I mean? Like, which I don't, trauma porn. Like, that's what she was like, hey man, we don't want this to be a trauma porn essay. And I was like, you're right. I'm sorry. But she felt bad. Like, she's reading it like, oh my God. And I was like, I don't want people to feel bad for me. I want people to feel encouraged. And I've been through a lot growing up, and a lot of people have. But like at a very young age, like my dad, I love my parents. My dad read it and was like, yo, I had no idea you went through like all of this stuff. And I was like, Dad, it's the same way that I became an adult. And then I realized how much stuff y'all were going through as parents. Because when you're a little kid, your parents are old, right? They're always old to you. They could be 30 and you're like, you're old because you don't,
I take it back. I regret saying that to my mom. Right? I have no idea.
And it's so funny because we're still finding ourselves. And there were like things that I had to really think about. Like, my dad was my age or a little bit younger when he lost his dad. And I couldn't imagine losing my dad right now. And my mom lost her dad at a young age. And just, there's so many things that we don't take into perspective. Or, okay, I had a family member who, and I spoke on this in an essay, who used to abuse me. And I found out that she went through something, which is why she had a punching bag to take it out on. But the difference between me and my other cousins that went through some things where she, messed with them, I was a lot more isolated than them. So, because I was isolated, it was like me by myself. So it was easy to just be this punching bag. So I had to tap into like a lot of things, man. I knew that I had to tap into those so that people could understand that I made it through the other side, and that I wanted other people to know you can make it through the other side. A lot of the trauma, because in the Black community, we look at everything as the devil, right? So it's go pray on it, get over it, be tough, do this. There's no way of expressing ourselves. So I have a sister who's 11 years older than me, and she's my hero, man. She has a doctorate. She's like badass, bro. And I love her. But she was a lot older than me. She lived in another household. Because of that, I was pretty much an only child. I'm my mother's only child, but my dad's second. So with that being said, I had to figure out a lot of things by myself. When I would get my ass kicked by bullies or get jumped, I would have to like go home by myself and figure it out. Or like I remember getting choked out on the bus by an older kid, and I didn't have, like, I couldn't go home and to my parents. Like, I had to go home alone to my Rottweiler puppy who's looking at me like, dog, what you want me to do?
That
Like,
dog,
I'm a
what you
puppy.
want me to do?
Like, he's like, bro, like, what are you looking at me for, man? I could give you a couple licks to make you feel better, but I can't do nothing yet. I'm only like 8 weeks. But, you know, there's things that you kind of, you realize that you have to tap into these things, because I also, because of what happened with that family member who was a woman, I ended up getting in like abusive relationships a lot of times. So I would always be with these partners who were like verbally, mentally, or even physically at times. And I didn't know how to handle it. So I would handle it the wrong way. So there were a couple of relationships where instead of handling it the right way, I'm stepping out of the relationship because I'm being abused, or I'm dealing with like this abuse. Because the thing with like being abused as a man is that you don't have anyone to really talk to about it, and you don't realize you're actually being abused. And because of the PTSD that I had, I ended up struggling a lot with women, right? So like if a woman yells at me, I literally will freeze up. I had one of my neighbors, she came out of the house like yelling at another neighbor that I'm friends with, and I froze up because I go back to that child. And so it was difficult for me to communicate with partners when we get in arguments, because I didn't know how to express myself, which probably made them more frustrated. You know, as a man, if I punch one of my partners, I'm an abuser forever. I could lose everything. But for a lot of women, if they put their hands on a man, they could possibly not lose anything at all. Even if they get PFAs or restraining orders or whatever you may do, go to court, no matter what, they can still go on with their life and their career. Right. You will always be scarred with things. So I had to tap into a lot of these different things, because that was also why my depression was a certain way, or why my anxiety was a certain way, why I was dealing with certain things, because I couldn't escape the proper way out of situations. The irony of it all is that I was blessed with daughters. Those issues that I had a lot of my life with women was like, now I'm raising little women. You know what I mean? Like, now God's giving me an opportunity to make sure that they don't end up like any of those people that harmed me, the best that I can, to show them love and care that maybe those people did not have. And again, I'm not trying to put anyone on blast, because for whatever reason, stuff always comes back on me. But they know what they did. They know who they are. And this is no shade towards them. I'm not putting you on blast. I didn't say your name. I'm just talking about the situation. And the thing is, I just want to be able to raise my children to be great people.
Absolutely.
To be a light in the world and not darkness.
Absolutely.
And that's the beautiful thing for me, because it's been a healing thing. It's almost like a type of therapy in its own. Because like I started therapy like 2013, like I said in the essay, because I started realizing something's wrong. Like, I've tried to kill myself a couple times. I'm like suicidal. I keep thinking about killing myself because I can't escape out of, like, there was one relationship in particular that was so bad that like I was just like, yo, I just need to die. That person like read through my journal, like all kind of things, because they were like finding ammo to hurt me. And we, you know, we lived together, and it was such a bad situation that it ruined like even more things for me. And I had like a very bad mental break. But I knew around this time that I had to see somebody, because I couldn't talk to anybody. Like, it was so hard to talk to people, and I needed to learn how to express myself in a healthier way outside of just making people laugh on stage and that's not healing my pain, right? It's not getting hugs and attention isn't healing this pain. I have to dig deeper. um, I had a therapist and he really helped me a lot. And he ended up committing suicide. And I thought about how he probably didn't have anyone to talk to because he didn't want his license revoked. And it just became like a cycle of understanding like how important it is to express yourself. And he probably doesn't even, I mean, he gave me that lesson. You know what I mean? Also, while helping me. And so I just learned a lot about myself and learned healthy ways of therapy. It's okay to get help. I'm sorry, support. I don't like the term help because I think help feels like charity. So people are scared of the term help. So if I say I'll help you with your podcast, you'll be like, I don't need your help. But if I say I'm gonna support your podcast,
It's different.
it sounds better because it's like, oh, you care, you want to put investment into it.
For the
There's a
record,
difference between
for the record, though, anybody do want to help, though, I will take it.
it. Support. If anybody wants to support,
Supports, however that looks to you, however you want to spell it, it's okay.
but yeah, that essay just meant a lot because it was like liberating for me to show how much I actually healed and how much I've actually like grown as a person and how much my daughters really saved my life. And um and how much they're giving me a healthy view because you gotta like people gotta realize like when you have like hatred towards someone or something, you take it out on someone. So what, I'm gonna be mad at all women and then what, I'm gonna like treat my kids terrible because some people do that to their daughters.
They do.
You're gonna be locked away. Don't wear that skirt. You're gonna look like this. You're gonna like, my kids are little and I'm not going to tell, you know what I mean? Like, I'm going to raise them so that they can be beautiful, and me and her mother are going to make sure that they are beautiful and that they know only love. I don't, you're going to encounter hate, you're going to encounter bad things in the world, but I want them to know love is here
It's
first.
here. There you go. Absolutely.
That's what matters. And they've helped heal me because it's healthy to know, okay, like, I can build a healthy relationship with females.
Yeah.
It doesn't always have to be something where they hate me or I feel like I'm always like getting harmed or whatever it is in these relationships with people. Like I'm building something. So they were the key to that.
So amazing. Honestly, it's so amazing because, and let's not go too far. I want to add to what you just said too, right? It's like, when you think about, they take it out on, the little people, right? They're little people, the people they create when they've gone through some form of trauma. Let's not go too far. And I'm going to feel totally comfortable because here we get comfortable being uncomfortable. I'm going to call it out. When you are a parent who takes it out on your child because you are at odds with their father or with their mother, when you, I knew kids growing up who would say, my so and so hates me because they say I look like my dad or I look like my mom.
Yes.
And I remember growing up hearing that, my parents are still together, 40 something years. Like, so me
Amen.
being the first, amen to that, me being the first one to be divorced, that was a hit in this culture, in
Isn't
this
that
family.
rough?
It is.
Yeah.
It is. My mom and I have come a very long way, and so have I with my father too. There's a lot of hurt that I caused my dad and my mom. I will admit that. I actually shared it on a forgiveness story on the Forgiven podcast.
Yeah.
I was very transparent on where.
Which was great.
Thank you. Just a moment of disrespect. Yeah. At the same token, right? We've talked about it years later, but my mom, I remember one time, and listen, no shade to my mom because I love my mom and I will fuck anybody up for my mom, right? But my mom did say one time that my divorce made her bow her head down in front of society because it embarrassed her that I was divorced. And it took a lot of conversations. It took a lot of understanding because I had to then understand a little bit like our culture over there, where we're from in our country in Ecuador. it's you don't get divorced, right? Like you have to stay married,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
so there's just so much of that I, there's no way my mom would be able to just from one day to the next break away from, you know what I mean? Like she
Yeah.
had to
Absolutely.
see 14 years later how I am as a single mom, right? And now it's like you have to hurry up, like you have to get married again, you have to have another child, like you're a good mother, like you're now it's a different level of a vision for her and of respect. And she'll sometimes say, I'm gonna get emotional. Oh, she'll sometimes say, you're very strong because you walked away from a marriage that no longer suit you and you've done
Mm.
it on your own.
Yeah.
And I always tell her, I think you're stronger because you've had 4 kids and you've sustained a marriage of 40 something years, and it's far from perfect, but they're great together
Absolutely.
still. And I
Yeah.
always
Yeah.
tell her, like, I think you're stronger than me. I hope to one
Mm.
day be able to find that partner that I could do what you and my dad have done, like through it all, through ups and downs, through rough times, through
Yeah.
perfectly imperfect. Um, there's a lot that comes to that with a certain level of trauma. And I don't have to have been physically abused to have been experienced in an abusive relationship. And let me be fair on
Yes.
this. Let me be fair on this. That's not to say he didn't feel like it was an abusive relationship. I think with the hurts, with the back and forth, there was a
Yeah.
lot of that for the both of us, right? Um, I decided, one of the things I admire so much of your essay, I've written my journal to self love, and it had a lot to do with building my confidence and being confident again from my lowest point, which was my separation and my divorce,
Yeah.
and feeling unwanted, unloved, and infidelity. It was just so much happening at once to a 21-year-old.
Yeah.
Uh, that just didn't make sense to me. It didn't make sense to me. I had to grow up from one day to the next and be a single mother, and that's it. And I've decided to write my next journals. And I haven't actually released what's going to be the title yet, but it is going to be about my ability to now manage very effectively my panic attacks and my anxiety. It is going to be
Oh, that's
related
awesome.
to, there's certain things that I want to share because it hasn't been easy. It takes a long time to get there. And
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
you have gotten there, you share that with the world. You have to let them
Yeah.
know what it's like. And that's really what I admire so much about the essay that you wrote, right? Because the power that it is to have your children and to love them and for them to save you, right?
Yeah.
And then for you to also be able to still be here and to share that story and to be able to say, like, this is how far I've come and this is how I'm still pushing forward, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad that you said those things. You're amazing, by the way. You're badass. But um, the difficult thing that was hard for me too when me and their mom split because we were actually going to get married that same like the following year, like coming
mm,
up.
mm,
And I was just like, I there's so much pressure of being a man, especially a black man, that like there's all these pressures of society. So it's like I felt embarrassed because I was trying to get like a ring, but I was also paying for everything in the household. I was like taking care of the household, being that guy, but also like how am I gonna afford this ring? And I got all these mouth and we also had her daughter here, so and this damn Maltese that's laying over here like you know what I mean? Like we got a lot. She's over there laying down because I gave her a bath, so she's chill. But it's one of those things where it was difficult that split up because I grew up like you in a two-parent household, and when you see people love each other regardless of what they go through, you're like it almost becomes toxic where you have this toxic idea, especially like if you see everyone else around you in love. Like my sister has been married to my brother-in-law and they have a great, and my cousin, and I'm
mm-hmm.
like everybody's in love but I'm just here. It's like it's so tough, man. But the beautiful thing about the journey, just like yourself and what you shared, is when we start getting to that place where we start realizing how important it is for us to love ourselves. Now, let me say this: there's a toxic way of loving yourself which is the arrogant way, which is feeding the ego, which is not the right way. And then there's the way where you realize, hey, it's okay if I never get married or fall in love, because I need to take care of myself and take care of my responsibility, which is my children.
Right.
And when you do that, instead of looking for someone to save you and someone to be the beacon of your everything and your love, that's when everything starts falling into place, right? Because I still struggle with that, and we have a mutual friend, Virginia, will tell you, I done hit her up a couple times, like, I don't understand, man. Like, because I don't really like, I've never been a dating guy. I've always been someone that's been in long-term relationships. So, the dating thing, and then I don't just want anybody around my kids, and my kids come first, so I'm really big on that. And everybody says they want love and peace, but they don't want it when you are in a place where you want love and peace, like you've been through bullshit, and it's like, no, 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 no. I need peace.
Yes.
I think it's great that your mom said that to you, and you are a badass mom. You know what I mean? Like, I see your posts and I see things, and I love that you are on the journey, like, finding yourself, because we're allowed to find ourselves. That's the hard part. But it's not really finding ourselves. It's like creating ourselves is what we're doing. Like, we're manifesting what we are meant to be, right? But it's hard to, like, sometimes we get so caught up in being a parent that we forget that we're allowed to be something outside of that. And that's where I feel. I don't go on vacations. I only travel for shows. I only travel for family. I'm never, like, I don't do things for myself that often. I think the thing that I did for myself recently, besides like buy like a video game or some shit, I bought the new Yeezy jacket, the red one that's coming out, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna look fly at least. But we don't really do things for ourselves, and it is difficult to do this journey without like a partner. You know what I mean? Like, okay, I have to take you there. Like, you're my responsibility when you're here. I see dudes that get them kids on the weekend. They toss them off to grandma and they in the club the same weekend they supposed to have their kids. I don't do shit like that. You know what I mean?
I know some of those dudes.
Yeah.
I've seen them at the club when
Uh-huh.
my kid went with the dad. So I
Uh-huh.
was like, wait, wasn't it this weekend yours? Yeah, but I left them with my mom. Oh,
Uh-huh. Yep. They always leave them with
okay.
auntie or mom, and they hit the streets. I'm glad that your mom did see that, because sometimes it takes a minute for our parents to understand, because they were taught toxic behaviors,
Yeah.
and then they
Yeah.
have to understand, no, 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 it's okay that you're divorced. You're busting your
Mhm.
ass. I shouldn't put more pressure on you than what society is already putting on you. It's already hard
Mhm.
enough for you out here. Why am I making it harder? You know what I mean? And some people don't realize that. Like, for her to say that is a big deal. And
Yeah.
I commend you, man. Like, you know what I mean? I think you're dope. And you know what I'm
We
saying?
trying, Terry. We trying. And let me say this, because I want to be fair on the dating aspect of it, because it was definitely going to be part of the segment too. Like, where I am today, I've also learned to have so much self-love for me. I don't settle for the mediocre offerings. I am someone who's very I have found a balance in being and reconnecting to my faith and still being spiritual, right? But I am also very proud of my body, and I'm also a very sexual being. And I've learned to have so much self-love for myself to no longer settle for mediocre acceptance in sexuality, in my sexuality, or who I may want to share that with, whether or not they even get to meet my child, right? Because there's steps and there's levels to this, right?
There is, yeah.
Just because I'm involved with you doesn't mean you automatically get to
Get
meet
to meet
him.
my
That's
kid.
not how this
Yeah, oh,
goes, right?
absolutely.
There's levels to this. And it's like, when I've even thought about like going into dating and being casual, I still shouldn't have to settle for shit.
No.
I still shouldn't have to, sit back and just take what's there and what's being offered, because that's an exhaustion of my energy. It's an exhaustion of my mental. It's an exhaustion of what I really truly want for myself. So even in that dating scene, when it comes to single parents, I think it's definitely totally different, to be honest with you. And I don't know if people quite understand that, and that's fine. That's fine. I've even also shifted a little bit to, I used to say I didn't want to date someone with children because I did date someone with children, and I married him and I had a child with him, and I had stepchildren before I had a child with him.
Yeah.
And it was heartbreaking in
Yeah.
detaching from those kids,
Yeah.
right? When we went through the divorce. So for me, and me saying that, it was more so on the end of, I still have to protect my heart because I know how much I can love someone else's child. I've already been there and I know how to
Yeah.
do that. You know what I mean? At the same token, now it's like, well, wait a minute. Maybe there is an opportunity to have someone who knows exactly where I'm coming from and who shares certain sentiments as a parent,
Yeah, yeah,
who
absolutely.
can share those thoughts, those emotions, knowing what it's like to sometimes figure it out. Um, to understand, like, I accept your children and love your children and you can do the same for me,
Yeah.
type of thing. I've had to kind of, rethink that and reevaluate
Mm.
certain decisions for myself and start putting my child first as well. Maybe I do need someone who is nurturing
Yeah.
because I'm going to need him to know how to be nurturing to my kid too,
Yeah.
you know?
That makes
So,
sense.
yeah.
Do you want more
Yeah,
kids?
definitely have had. I do.
Okay.
I do. I would do. And so funny, right? I think, well, if it's someone who doesn't have children, then I probably have to be open to having two more, right? Because
Yeah.
maybe they want more than just one. If it's someone who already has children, then maybe they'll be down for just one more, and I'm okay with that too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I've thought about that too. I have to be mindful of the other person even before I meet him.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? You got a good point. All good valid points because I had a friend which she's one of my best friends and I'm so happy that her and her ex got back together. They were going through a moment. They split. Then they got back together and
Mm-hmm.
now they're going to have their baby boy that they've always wanted. But
Beautiful.
he was helping raise her oldest daughter and they have a daughter together and now they're going to have a boy together. So they're back together and I've I'm so happy for them. But she made a comment where she said her mom said, "You just because you have kids, you don't have to date someone with kids." And I think it takes a certain level of maturity to be with someone with kids. Like me and my kid's mom have a good co-parenting relationship. So
Mm-hmm.
like I've only introduced my kids to one person that I've been with, and it's unfortunate that that ended within over like we were together for a year, but
Mm-hmm.
my kids got attached, and I didn't like that because my kids come first. So I got to protect their little hearts because they already had to
Mm-hmm.
deal with it with me and their mother. I don't want them to keep going through this cycle of seeing daddy bringing up someone and they develop these abandonment issues. Like I don't want that for my children.
Right.
So I think
Mm-hmm.
what you're saying is legit because you do want someone that's nurturing that knows parenting, right? But at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, one of the hardest things is am I able to deal with any of the BS that may come with that while protecting my own children and my own heart?
Children.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't
Mm-hmm.
want to have to fight your baby's dad because he's stepping out of pocket. You know what I mean? And I don't want to whoop his ass in front of your kids because then they go,
I'm gonna do it if I have to.
yeah, but you either catch these hands or you catch these bullets, son. Which one is it? But it was like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be, you don't want to do that because it's like,
I do bats. I do bats. I'm short, so I need something that's gonna like extend a little bit because my arms are a little short too. So I do
do that.
bats.
That's
That's my
funny as
thing.
hell. That's a New York
Yeah,
thing. But
yeah. It is a New York thing.
no, yeah, we do have to. You're right. We do have to be mindful because honestly, I'm okay with never having kids again. I've like come to
Mm-hmm.
that feeling because I get everything I want out of my daughters. Like I'm okay with never having a baby again. And then sometimes I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, I want a baby, and then I'd be watching like somebody chase around a baby, and I'd be like, I don't know if I want to go through those steps again, man. Like, I'm getting a little older. I already have these ones
Yeah.
up. These ones are gonna be paid off pretty soon. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I don't know. You're right. Dating is difficult. I don't think people understand that, because like you could sleep with somebody, or you could be whatever, but that, again, that doesn't mean you're going to be around my kids. I don't even like people being in my house while my kids are asleep. I'm not that guy. Ain't no, oh, I could pull up while your kids is, you ain't pulling up. You pull up when they ain't here. We I don't.
Same.
Yeah, you got to have
Same.
levels
I
of
would
respect.
keep it. Yeah, yeah, and I'm not even gonna say names, but shout out to some of them who understood my certain expectations. Like, no, you're gonna book a certain room, and I'll meet you there,
Mm,
because we're not doing this here, and it cannot be no cheap shit. I'm sorry, because we're not trying to, no bed
I know
bugs and
that's
nothing.
right.
Like, it's New York City, all right. So let's just be a little bougie and safe,
Yeah.
right? But it had to be like I wanted to keep certain things away. Just I just think it's out of
No,
respect to
I
my
respect
child.
that. That's dope.
And to add to that, there was only one person who truly ever came around
Hmm.
him, which was an ex that I reconciled with on a friendship level, and made peace with a huge, tremendous
You mentioned him
misunderstanding
in
because
a episode. Yeah, I heard that. Yeah.
yes, because he was actually someone that after we broke up, he would still come see him. He maintained his friendship with him. And my son genuinely developed his friendship with him as, yeah, you were with my mom, but you are my friend too. And like till this day, like this man was still saying, how's he doing? It's been a while since we talked. Like, how's everything going? You know what I mean? So it's a beautiful thing when you can still have that, because to your point, it is difficult, especially also the part where your children do get attached. It is difficult, absolutely. We're gonna go into the overdose, y'all. I'm going to link the article, the essay, so y'all could go
Thank
read
you.
it because it was absolutely amazing. Before we even go into the overdose, the last segment of the show, but again, for anybody who needs a good read and knows exactly what this is like, the parenting life, the single parenting life, and also still sustaining our abilities to be human and our sanity and our mental state and just our wellness. Go read it. Go read it, and you'll get a very heartfelt message there, and it's a dope essay. You did an amazing job. Um, on the overdose, this is usually where we close out the show and we just end on a good vibe, right? Or sometimes you got a chip on your shoulder, you want to go on a quick rant, you can.
No.
Nothing to
I'm peace.
nothing to
I'm
be that.
peaceful these days. Some people push me, but
So if there is anything you want to share on a quick, on a quick dose, anything of a good vibe that you just want to close out the show with, anything at all.
Oh man, yeah. This was the part. This is the segment that was a little tougher, because I don't have.
Yeah, because it catches everybody off
Yeah,
guard.
yeah. No, I'm in such a good place overall. For whatever reason,
Mm-hmm.
when I'm a nice dude, so people like to like push my buttons to see, like, oh yeah, like how nice is you, right? And just so you understand, I don't know how tall I look on this video, but I'm over 6'2" and I'm about 230 pounds. And for whatever reason, people be like, oh, he's a nice dude, especially like online, because everybody online thinks I'm 5'10". I'm not 5'10", okay? I am over 6'2". I am straight up. Oh well, the pictures. Do you see the pictures? The women I take pictures with be tall women in heels. They be like 5'7", and then when they get the heels on, they be about 5'11", and I'm still taller than them.
Oh
How do
my
y'all not
god.
see? But no, I don't know, man. I'm such a like cool dude. I'm in a very peaceful space. I love my kids. Um, I'm trying to see whatever. I'm not chasing love anymore. I'm in a healthy space where I'm more so letting love come to me. I don't want drama. I want peace. Um, you know what I mean? Like I'm a pretty stand up guy, like you said. Like overall, I'm pretty cool, man. I don't disrespect nobody. So please don't disrespect
Yeah.
me. Don't hop in my DMs. Don't get my phone number from somebody else and text me. That shot's fired right there. But
Ooh. But on this show, we don't incriminate
Nope.
anybody ever. So
No.
we're not going to disclose who that
No,
was.
man. But no, I'm in a good place, and I'm so happy that I was on this show because this is a very dope show. You have a very healthy format. I think your voice is great. I think you look great. I think everything about this show is going to take off, and you're going to go into like a very great space. But just remember what I said. Manifest it. Protect your heart. Protect yourself. Be the one who is. I know you're a firecracker. I know you're a Scorpio. But stop stinging people. Y'all got pinchers and stingers and shit. Y'all be pinching people, and then y'all be stinging them, and then y'all be blasting Drake while doing the shit. I get it, right? But you can't. What I've learned is
You're right.
you have to be the opposite. It's like playing rock, paper, scissors. When you're playing rock, paper, scissors, you want to diffuse the situation, right? So if they're coming at you with rock and you go at them with rock, who wins? Who wins if it's both rock? Nobody, right?
Yeah, it's a clash.
Okay.
Nobody, yeah.
Oh, I want to win though. I want to win. Don't win in the way that you think you want to win. Don't try and hurt somebody when you win. Win and diffuse it. Rock. I'm going to bash you with this rock. Oh, but I got paper and there's love on it. Blanket. Like, you know what I mean?
You know,
But
rock, paper,
just
scissors.
saying, man, it's you want to diffuse situations before they happen. And whenever you feel like there's going to be animosity just as a co-parent situation or even in a relationship, if you feel like y'all are going to be like fighting or you feel like there's too much animosity, one of you got to be chill. The other one might be mad that you're chill, but you got to be chill and just walk away from it. Take a moment. They say don't go to sleep angry. That is a lie. Sometimes you both got to go to sleep angry. You know what I mean? Like, whatever it is, just always find your peace. Always try and be peaceful. Recenter yourself. Never let people get you too out of character because they will push your buttons. And trust me, they do it all the time with me. And sometimes I got to take them off to the side and let them know what it is. And then sneak back in like Batman out of an alleyway. But no, yeah, just be peaceful. Love each other. Learn empathy. Learn compassion. These are things that we're missing. And if you do that, man, everything just starts getting better. Focus on what's important and not what's not. Focus on the things that fuel you instead of the things that drain you. Because sometimes even people drain you. Situations drain you. Sometimes you see things on social media that trigger you and it drains you. You don't even realize you're feeding your energy as you're scrolling. Find ways to control your own algorithm. One of the things that I'll say that this is a tip, and it's from a book by Napoleon Hill. It's called Outwitting the Devil. And in this book, he has a conversation with the devil, which the devil, your ego, he has a conversation. And the devil tells him how he controls people. And he says, I control people with hypnotic rhythm or nature's rhythm. Okay. Hypnotic rhythm is a way of making you do the same dumb shit over and over and never changing who you are, never realizing what your problem is, right? Once you figure out what your problem is and you take time to dissect yourself and heal from all trauma, all past things, then you realize, okay, I'm breaking out of the rhythm. And are you printing something?
No, there's a flash flooding right now going on, guys.
That's the flash flood warning. That's so
It's
funny.
raining.
No,
but I don't want to
it's
lose this momentum because you're on a whole roll
No,
and you got me
no, you're
focused.
good.
Yes.
But no, that hypnotic rhythm, you want to break it, right? We want to get into a place where we are peaceful. Once you find out, like for me, I found out what a lot of my issues was. It was pride, because I was feeding into my ego, and lust was another one of my hypnotic rhythm issues. And once you break those away and you get away from these things that you are chasing for the wrong reasons, then everything manifests for you. And that's what we have to do. We have to break those rhythms. So you have to be centered. When everyone else in the world is not being centered and not being good and not being positive and etc., you have to be that.
Absolutely.
Once you're that, everything goes. So find love. Love isn't where they try to teach us it is. Love is not always in a partner. Love can be in your children. Love can be in a family member. Love can be in a friend. But they don't want us to know the true meaning of love because we'll continue to be confused and do bullshit.
Yeah.
But once you find out that healthy version of love for yourself, then that is the true meaning of self-love. And that's where we find everything.
I love it. This is like such a signature to exactly what I shared on that journal, the first one. It's such a signature to it because it's so true, and yet a lot of people still don't understand that. So I appreciate your perspective in it and the full circle that you just gave us with it as well. Um it's a beautiful thing when you do reach that level of self-love. I am going to preach it and say that I hope everybody is able to at some point find that for sure. Um, I'm gonna give it a quick overdose because I cannot let this go. I'm going to do a call to action to every single one of my listeners who is, 25, 35, right? I don't know, in that range, right? Please do me a favor and do society a favor. Y'all, if you have, and it doesn't matter what your profession is, it doesn't matter what your career is. What matters is that you are someone who has youth around you, as someone who is a mother to a teenager, but also in an industry, right? And in a role where, we are meeting younger people coming into the workforce. There is a lot in our um low income communities, in our
Yeah.
communities, that our youth is still not being given the right resources or the right guidance or the right mentorship or
Mm-hmm.
coaching just to get out into the workforce and make it and start their own careers and pursue their own dreams at that, right?
Yes.
I want to make this a call to action on this overdose. And it's still a good vibe that if you do know somebody who is anywhere between the ages of 16, 17, all the way to 22, let's say, right?
Yeah.
They're about to graduate high school or graduating high school and going into college. Ask them, do they know certain purpose of interviewing, certain etiquettes? Do they have the
Mm-hmm.
right support and the right guidance to prepare them for the world?
Yeah.
I don't know if this is like news to people, but a lot of schools don't prepare us for this. You have
No,
to
they
go
don't.
looking for these type of resources, right? Because what more do they want but to keep our community stuck, right?
Absolutely.
So we as people, it is a call to action on a very good vibe. Make a difference to someone who's younger and provide that level of very free
Yeah.
support and guidance. Be able to say, hey, do you know how to do this? Because if you need a little bit of support,
Yeah.
not help, support, I can support you with that.
Absolutely.
I can give you a little bit of guidance with it. I have some experience in it. And make that difference to your own communities. It is something that I'm very passionate about. And it's something that I do have a goal and a dream right now to make grow even further. With the right people. But even more so for that, it doesn't mean that it just takes me or it just takes another person to do it. It could be anybody to do it. It's very significant to me
Yeah.
that we do give our intelligence. It's so precious, right?
Yeah.
Our experiences are so precious, right?
Yes.
But we can share that. We can share that when we could guide people. And that's my overdose on this one. It's been something that's been on my mind. It's been
Amen.
something that I've been experiencing lately. And I feel like if you can give back, you don't have to give back clothes that you no longer wear. Maybe you don't have the money to make those charities. It's okay, but you know what? Time is precious. And you can
Absolutely.
sometimes give time to a
And
person
that is
in a
charity.
moment. And that is charity.
Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Terry, we've come to the end of the show.
We made it.
But like I always say to all my guests and to my listeners, you guys already know my guests will always come back.
Oh,
So
yeah.
when Terry, I don't know, has written his book, maybe, he'll come back, or he, writes another publishing essay. I don't know. But I would definitely always, this is your home too. Thank you for being a listener and a supporter,
Yeah.
and for sharing your story on this platform today. I truly appreciate it.
No, thanks for having me.
I know, yeah, and I know these listeners are really gonna appreciate it too.
Sweet.
Absolutely. Do you want to let my listeners know where they can find you?
Yes, you can find me on Instagram, T Jones POC, YouTube, T Jones POC. Um, I'm on Spotify, Tidal, Apple Music.
Jesus Christ, so disrespectful.
It happens. It's okay.
So sorry. He said Tidal, Apple Music.
Spotify. You can listen to Terry Jones Radio on Pandora, and which is a big one for me. That Pandora station has grown so much. So yeah, check me out. Music, comedy, whatever you want. Bigfoot the movie the sequel should be coming out this fall. It'll be on streaming services. So yeah, add me on Instagram and check me out, guys.
Yes. And before we go, before I do my signature, log off, we're gonna do a quick boomerang before the flooding, the flash forward flooding is like ruining my life right now. I don't think I'm even gonna edit that out, honestly. Like, I think I should just leave it. All right, guys. Well, as always, you guys know this is another week and another episode on Double Dose of Raw Talk podcast. I am your host, Misty, and as always, you guys will tune in next week. Bye. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and we are live on your favorite podcast streaming platform. Make sure to tell a friend to subscribe, rate, and review. Talk to you later. Bye.